you come on Thursday, it's game on.
Because we all get to decide.
The business, the way to shoot the video.
Hey. Welcome to the Jas Takhar podcast, episode 248, the number one podcast for real estate professionals to do more deals and create a business around their life. Today's topic for episode 248 is going to be building a powerful personal brand for your real estate business. Now, before I get into the meat, I always want to make sure that my viewers and listeners get an opportunity to have a free coaching call with me live here on the Jas Takhar podcast. It's a free 10 to 15 minute coaching call. You can ask me anything in terms of what's going on in your business, maybe about today's topic, maybe about past topics, whatever it is. I've been in the business now for coming up to 20 years, but more importantly, been in sales and service for coming up to 30 years, 3 decades. So I actually want you to try to stump me if you want. Now, the coaching call is free, but what you have to do is go to ftguacademy.com/coaching call, ftguacademy.com/ call, not coaching call. It's actually call. Bobo, do me a favor. Make sure we put that into the description. And if you're watching live, as always, you can ask some questions. Now, to get into the meat of today's conversation and today's episode, building a personal brand and more importantly, building a powerful personal brand for your real estate business. Before I even get into that, why am I even able to talk about this, you might ask? Well, for the last 5 years out of this 20-year career that I've been in the real estate business, I've been focused heavily on building a personal brand. Why did I decide to do that? And why should you, someone who's watching or listening right now, be considering building a personal brand? Why? Well, it's quite simple, because it will earn you more money, period. However, I'll give you a couple of more reasons than just earning more money. It actually makes it easier for you to attract more clients. They start to come to you rather than always needing to go outbound. Now, if you've ever heard any piece of content of mine on social media or past JTP episodes, you know the importance of going outbound. You have to be proactive. Being reactive in sales is never a good idea. Now, with that said, what a personal brand does, though, is allow people to actually reach out to you inbound. What it also does is help your outbound efforts, because when you call people, they actually want to hear from you because they've been watching you on social media. They've been maybe listening to a podcast of yours. Maybe they've been reading a blog of yours, and now they feel like they already know you. And if they've reached out at some point, i.e. either followed you on social media, maybe following you on your podcast, maybe they've even sent you an email, that is a lot better than reaching out to somebody just cold that doesn't know you, doesn't like you, and obviously at that stage doesn't trust you. So what a personal brand does is allow you to connect with people easier. In fact, either you're new to my world right now, or you've been somebody in my community for a very long time. You know that it's a lot easier, and you probably want to start reaching out to me if you've been in my community for a while to get that free coaching call, maybe come into my office, maybe reach out to get to know more about my businesses because you've actually been watching or listening to me this whole time. That's what I want to talk about today, and how you as a real estate professional, real estate agent, or mortgage broker can do this yourself. So let's get into it. Number one, what you want to make sure that you understand is that a personal brand is slightly different than a business brand. But it's actually more important than the business brand. And the reason is because you might be thinking, well, do I go with my company name? Do I have business pages and all this nonsense and rhetoric that is out there? I want to tell you that the most important thing that you need to focus on is your personal brand, because we as people connect with people and not companies. And it's quite apparent. If you go on social media right now and search up Elon Musk and then search up Tesla, you're going to notice that a lot more people are following Elon personally than Tesla. If you look at Tim Cook and compare that to Apple, you look at Bill Gates and compare that to Microsoft. Why? Because we as human beings, when we see anything from a business, we know we're kind of trying to we're being sold to, right? Like it almost feels like there's an ad coming up in our feed, or there's a commercial on traditional media like TV. Where when it's a personal brand, especially if you do a good job at it and not always try to sell people on the personal brand, which I'm going to get into, if you give education or you're entertaining, then it allows people to kind of get to know you better, where a company brand most of the time doesn't allow people to connect as easily, because they meaning the company, has to speak a certain way. There's a reason I went down the path of calling this podcast the Jas Takhar podcast. There's a reason that if you look at any one of my companies that I have, either REC Canada, my real estate company, or my coaching company, FTGU Academy, you'll notice that my following count is a lot larger than my company's accounts. The engagement in terms of the views, the likes, the saves, the shares, the comments is a lot higher on my personal brand than they are my companies. Now, there's also another reason for this. Well, the reason is that both my companies, and you'll see this on any of the other larger companies on social media, they have to speak a certain way, right? Me personally, I have business partners in both my organizations, the real estate company and the coaching company. And so I can't just go off on maybe some of my political views, or I just can't go off on rants all the time on those profiles, because I also have to make sure that my business partners are okay with it. And as a company, there's a different fit and feel to the content than when you compare it to my personal brand. See, me as Jas Takhar, I can say whatever I want. I can start deciding to change this podcast topic to talk about my love for the Dallas Cowboys. I can talk about, yes, I did say my love for the Dallas Cowboys, by the way. I can start talking about selling maybe mics or whatever it is. I can make changes as I go, because as a human being, we also are okay with people changing. As a company, if you make too many changes too many times, it starts to feel like there's really no vision. There's no mission statement. Whereas as a person, we've always been okay with that. Like the 42-year-old Jas is completely different than the 22-year-old Jas. And I'm sure the 62-year-old version is going to be slightly different than the 42-year-old version now. And so if you can just think back to yourself, you've changed over time. Now, if you've always produced content on your business brand, your company brand, that's going to be tough to make those changes. You just can't go off on tangents all the time on your social media platforms. Hence why you want to spend all your efforts at the start with your personal brand. Now, simply put, here's 3 ways to build your personal brand in currently that we are in 2024. We, as human beings, consume content through 3 ways, okay? Number 1 is through video. So if you're watching right now. Number 2 is audio, podcasts. You're probably listening in your car right now. Maybe you're taking your dog for a walk. And then the 3rd way is through the written word. Now, not everyone is comfortable with what I think is the highest of those 3, but it's not the only one that you have to do, which is video. Why? Because video, you can make a better connection. It's easier to make the connection. Now, I said that not everyone's comfortable with video, because that's just the truth. In fact, some people might even be comfortable, but the truth is that they just maybe lack some charisma, they don't connect with people, and that's okay. However, if you haven't tried video, that's not an excuse. Like, if you haven't tried video, you have to give it a shot. And I would say bare minimum, at least do 100 videos It doesn't have to be long form like I go on a podcast for 45 minutes. It could be short form videos, 1 minute and less. At least try to do this 100 times to see if you like it. What is the engagement? Do people connect with you? Now, if after doing it 100 times, you're not comfortable, people are not engaging, you just kind of know like, that's not my thing, I'm okay with that. But you have to put out content one of the other two ways that is left, which is audio or written word. Because if you don't, no one's going to know about you. If you're a real estate professional right now, again, an agent or a mortgage broker, in fact, it doesn't matter what business you're in, anything in terms of where you need someone's awareness before they can make a decision, any sales, if you're running for maybe the mayor in your city, maybe you just want to be the head of the PTA at your kid's school, whatever it is. If you need someone's awareness before they make a decision, and if you're not producing content, you're kind of like a secret agent, a secret person. And in sales, you can't be secretive. You have to be out there because that's called marketing. You have to figure out how to get yourself out there so people know who you are. That's called awareness. And then if they connect with you through video, audio, or the written word, now they can possibly think about using you for the services that you're offering. Now, as a real estate agent, in the GTA, there's 77,000. In Canada, there's a little over 125,000 real estate agents. And in North America, we're looking at about approximately 1.5 million real estate agents. Saying that you are honest and you have integrity and you work hard, those are all the costs of entry in the business. Because what client is going to want to work with somebody that's not honest, that doesn't have integrity, that doesn't work hard? So you saying that, it means shit. Nobody gives a crap about the little slogans that you put on your business cards or the billboards or whatever it may be. What people care about is do you care about them? Let me just say that again so everybody heard that. What people care about is, do you care about them? Specifically, when they're going through a transaction or thinking about buying, selling, or investing, which is probably going to be the biggest investment in their lives, they need to know that you care. And they know that not because you wrote it on a card or you write it at the bottom of your emails or the back of a business card. My kind of pet peeve now is the biggest compliment I can get is your referrals, and people have all these hearts on it. I love referrals and all this stuff that's out there. The way that you show them that you care is obviously through the process of the transaction. But before that, so you get their awareness, is, do you know what you're talking about? Are you educated in the field of helping people buy, sell, and invest, or maybe financing and refinancing and lines of credits and all that stuff that you need to know? And if you do know it, are you actually speaking about it? And that's why you got to be on some type of social media platform. There is plenty of them for you to choose from. As a real estate agent right now in today's market, you have to be starting on YouTube Shorts. If you're not on YouTube Shorts or TikTok, and TikTok, as well as Facebook, you are missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars for sure, if not millions of dollars. My personal brand in the last 5 years for my top line revenue, and I'm not trying to impress anyone here, it's more to impress upon you where all this data and information is coming from, has helped me earn a little over $15 million in top line revenue for both my organizations. You heard that properly. My top line revenue in the last 5 years for both my organizations has been a little over $15 million. I did that, not all based on my personal brand, but I'm going to say 80% of the business that I did for both my organizations, and 80% is on the low end, so I'm not over exaggerating it, but just for easy numbers, 80% is based on someone who saw me or heard me on some type of video or podcast. Like, let that sink in from a guy who barely passed high school, who helps people buy, sell, and invest in a t-shirt, was able to earn that type of top line revenue by putting out videos. Now there's work involved, and I'll get into that, and you're more than welcome to send me an email at info@jastakhar.ca if you have more questions about this process. But imagine that I was able to do that without spending any marketing and ad dollars. Now I have a team that helps me put together a podcast like this, shoot content, but I didn't at the start. I did it all from this device, my cell phone. Anybody who knows me long enough knows I don't own a computer, myself personally. Like, I don't use a computer. I was doing everything from my cell phone from the start, and I had the help of one person. Shout out to my business partner, as well as my VP in my real estate company, Laura Elto Stewart, who helped at the start. But other than that, it was not the big team that I have, the Bows and the Clydes of the world now, and the Alexes and the Ways and the Tillys of the world. But at the start, it was by myself. So you have no excuse. If you don't get started with this, you will become irrelevant in this business. Because I just gave you the numbers, right? There's 1.5 million people in North America. Look at your market. There's probably thousands of real estate agents. If you're not differentiating yourself, how is somebody going to know you're in the business? Right? And so if you know there's certain places that there's parties going on, like physical parties, if there was a house party happening right now, or there was some type of event happening where people are thinking about buying, selling, and investing, it would be a good idea for you to go there. You not being on social media is like you not going to that party, because there's billions, not millions and hundreds of millions, billions of people on these platforms, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the TikToks, and the Instagrams of the world. And if you're not putting out content there, it's no wonder why you're not getting the business. Because especially if you've been in this business for 10, 15 years, the new guys, the younger guys and gals that are coming into the business, the only thing they know is these social media platforms. So it's just going to get harder. So you might as well get started at some point. And there's no better time than now. And I think, out of personal experience, the best way to start to build a powerful personal brand for your real estate business is starting with a long form piece of content. You should start with a long form piece of content very similar to what I'm doing right now. And I'll tell you why. Because when you start with a 30-minute long form piece of content, and you don't need to go solo. In fact, I highly recommend that you don't start going solo by yourself, because there's a lot of heavy lifting involved. Like, I don't have any guests with me right now. So I'm thinking about the whole thought process. I'm doing this by myself. And I know a lot of you who are watching and listening, because I speak to you on a regular basis through DMs and private messages, that this would be tough for you, especially if you're getting started. So I'm going to give you some very cost-effective and hacks, shortcuts to do this. 30-minute conversation you're going to record on Zoom. Just get started for free. No need to spend the money on equipment on the Bows and the Clydes of the world yet. We'll get there in time. We start with a 30-minute conversation on Zoom with a professional in the business, i.e., if you're a real estate professional, start with a mortgage broker. If you're a mortgage broker, start with a real estate agent. And then move on to the next group of people in the industry. Real estate lawyer, insurance broker, home inspectors, roofers, contractors, your broker of record, maybe someone else in the office that might be an expert at something that you're not, i.e., you do a lot of pre-construction condos in homes, speak to somebody who knows the resale market, or vice versa. You know the resale market really well, but you don't know the world of pre-con investing, bring them on. You're going to record this for 30 minutes. That might seem like a lot, but I can tell you that when you're speaking with someone, it goes quite quickly. You're going to spend the first 2-3 minutes just on banter. Hey, Bo, how you doing? Bro, the mortgage broker. How's, what's been going on in your life? Yada, yada, yada. And then you're going to spend another 2 minutes on the back end doing a close. Okay, so we're kind of down now to 25 minutes. 25 minutes goes really quickly again when you have a guest, especially if you stick with the 5 interview questions that I always recommend. The 5 interview questions are what, where, when, how, and why. What, where, when, how, and why. And the reason you want to start with those and have those always in your pocket is because they're open-ended questions. When you say to Bo, the mortgage broker, how does somebody refinance their property? He can't really answer yes or no to that. He has to go off of something, go on and speak about that process. So the 25 minutes, and side note as well, guys, you can just chat GPT this. I'm going to be sitting down with Bo. He's a mortgage broker, and I'm going to be doing a 30-minute conversation. Please provide me with the questions I should be asking him. I want to make sure that I go for 30 minutes on this episode. Enter. And ChatGPT in 6.9 seconds will give you all the questions that you need. Now, understand that at the start, no problem, like literally using a script and having notes. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't forget to be a good listener as well, because a lot of follow-up questions come out of what Bo was saying. But if you're stuck to the script, you'll forget to ask those follow-up questions because you'll be so worried that you're going to go off script. Now, here's where the magic happens in building this personal brand. Because just doing a 30-minute conversation and not doing anything with it is useless. So what the first thing you're going to do is get that Zoom recording. You're going to take the Zoom recording, okay? You're going to then send that. Let me take a step back. First thing you're going to do is put it up on YouTube. So now you have a 30-minute video on YouTube. You're going to title it. Again, use ChatGPT. I sat down with Bo, I spoke about this. Please provide me with a couple of titles. That's going to be good for SEO, search engine optimization. You're going to take that recording, that's now that link on YouTube, and send it in an email to your database. The views on YouTube take time. The listens on podcasts like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and the other 150 of them, that takes time. You already have people that know you and like you and probably trust you, especially if they've done some type of deal with you in the past. So why not get it out to them first? Here's a caveat. You call all them and say, hey, I just sent you an email about a podcast that I did, a recording I did. If you are scared of the word podcast or show, I don't care. You don't need to use that. Just say I did a long form recording. And I would love to get your feedback. Tyler, can you let me know? I did it with Bo. Tell me what your feedback is. You're already planting seeds that you're going to do this again, as well as that you are somebody who can bring education to the people in your CRM, the people in your database. So you're going to send it to them. Then what we're going to do is simply go back to that Zoom recording. There's an audio file. You're going to take the audio file and you're going to simply put it on a distribution software called Libsyn. Libsyn, what that does is distributes it to about 150 podcast platforms, the Spotifys and the podcast Stitchers and the Apple Podcasts. You now have an audio recording as well. And just so you know, if you're thinking to yourself, I need to put out a podcast now, there's so many of them out there. Let me just backtrack here, give you some true facts. 90% of people who started a podcast, 90% don't make it past their first 10 episodes. So yeah, it might seem like there's a lot of people coming out with them, but they don't even get past their first 10 episodes. Out of the 10% that make it past the first 10 episodes, only 1% get to the 20th episode. So if you want to be a 1%er in podcasting, all you got to do is get to 21 episodes. So I'm kind of very, very grateful for the fact that we're at episode 248. And I'm not doing this for my health. I do this because it gets me so much in terms of awareness. And then at the end of the day, it helps with my revenues. That's why I keep doing this. Now, we haven't completely finished doing what we're going to do with that 30-minute video. These are little steps to keep on building this powerful personal brand. You're then going to go in and take that video from YouTube and see if this was a year ago. It's a little tougher. It was a little tougher, and it was a lot more work involved. But life has gotten a lot easier with AI and AI services. Now, it's not something that we use because we have actual men and women editing the videos. But remember, you don't need to get there yet. We'll take our time. These are building blocks, and there's steps to this, okay? So don't skip it. While you start thinking about the backdrop and the sound and the lighting and all that stuff, that generally, from my experience watching a lot of people, is a lot of just overthinking. It's making you feel like, oh, I'm doing something because I'm thinking about the name of the show. But I have people that are thinking about the name of their fucking show for the last 2 years, or they're worried about their backdrop. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody really cares. So just get over it. What you need to do is do the recording, the hard part. Once you get 10, 15 episodes of these long form recordings done, now you have some data. Now you know what you liked, and more importantly, you got feedback from the people that you called to get an idea of what they liked. Let's go back to this recording of the 30-minute video from YouTube. You're going to put it into, there is a plethora of AI services now. So I'm not going to name them because I'm like, they might be gone by the time that you listen to this or watch this, but just Google it. And for about $100 to $150 a year, $100 to $150 a year, we're talking about like $8, $9, $10 a month, okay? You can take that 30-minute video and it will spit back to you within 10 minutes max about 8 to 10 clips. Now, not all of them are valuable. Not all of them are the best clips in the world. And again, side note, if you're worried about what looks good and what doesn't look good, those are quite subjective, right? Because some might like chocolate ice cream, some might like vanilla. You never know. And so what the best thing to do is put out more quantity. It's why I put out 2 to 3 videos on all the platforms a day, because I want the feedback loop. We put out videos, some do really well, some do shit. It doesn't matter. We learn and we get better the next time we do it. You're going to get back about 10 clips from that 30-minute video. Now, what you're going to do with those 10 clips, and this is now really getting into the meat of building the personal brand, is put those out on social media. To get the captions, all you got to do is use AI, use ChatGPT. Really quickly, just say, this video that I'm putting out on social media, you're talking to ChatGPT now, I'm putting this video out on social media and it's talking about XYZ, give me a caption, and it spits back a caption. Now, at some point, you're not going to want to use AI, ChatGPT for all your writing because it doesn't sound like you necessarily. I would want you to get to a place to test, maybe out of every 3 or 4 videos that you're putting out on social media, you to write the caption. Take the 10 minutes max, maybe 5 minutes. I can probably put up a video with the writing all done within about 90 seconds now. Took me a couple of years to get used to it. You want to test 2 or 3 out of the 10 that you're going to put out where you write it yourself without ChatGPT. So again, you can compare. Okay, the one that I used with the writing with ChatGPT, it did better, it did worse. You kind of get the feedback again. Now, what you're also going to do with the audio is you're going to put that into a transcription service known as Trint. There's probably a lot more. It's the one that I use. Trint transcribes everything to the written word. What you do with that now is you actually have a full blog that you can put out on a website like medium.com. If you haven't heard of it, I understand, but don't discount long form blogs. 150 million users a month go to medium.com. 150 million users a month. It might be a good idea to be there as well. You take this blog, and from that blog that you now just posted on medium.com, you take some paragraphs out of it, and you put those paragraphs either on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. You take that tweet of I don't think the max is 140 characters anymore, but whatever it is, you take a screenshot of it and put it back onto Instagram. You put it back onto Facebook. You can start to see now that out of one 30-minute recording, you're up to about 17 to 20 pieces of content. You almost have something that you can actually post every single day. Here's the magic. What if you did this every other week? What if you did a 30-minute recording? That's 26 recordings in a year, 2 a month, sometimes 3 if you go every other week. You'll have enough content to post twice a day. What happens when you're posting twice a day is that you're coming up in people's feed. As they scroll on the social media platforms, you're going to show up on the feed that much more. That, in an essence, is you building a personal brand. See, it's not what it used to be 5, 10, 20, 50 years ago, which was how nice was your logo? What was the color of your branding? I got to be honest with you when I say to you that there's been a lot of branding, and I'm doing air quotes for the people who are in their car right now. There's been a lot of branding companies and personal brand logo designers that have been making a lot of money because that's the shit that they're selling you on. What they're doing is selling you on the fact that you need to have a nice logo. No, you don't. What you need to do is get people to connect with you. And the fastest way to do that is with any one of those 3 mediums I spoke about, video, audio, or the written word. Way before you need a nice logo. Guys, I didn't come up with a logo till 2 years ago. I was in it already for 3 years. Because what I really wanted to do is get my reps in, my repetitions in, to make sure that I got better. And I didn't skip any steps. I needed to make sure that the foundations of the basics of putting out content were there way before I made things look sexy. And that's why I'm so passionate about you doing this, because there's more than enough to go around. You doing this and the hundreds of thousands and the millions that are going to watch this for the next 10 years, there's enough for all of us to go around. I'm not worried about it. And nor should you be worried about somebody else eating off of your plate. Life doesn't work like that. You got to have the abundance mentality. And I can't stress enough to you how many people, 99% of people don't get started. The 1% that get started, out of that, 99% of people don't make it past their first 3 to 4 months of doing this. It's in the after the first year that you really start to see the ROI, the return on the investment of time and some money on this personal brand. Because it's not like running an ad. So you got to really understand this. Because when you run an ad, it's quite easy to tell how many people saw it, did anybody click on it, how many calls did I get? How many leads did I get? How many deals did I get? See, personal branding doesn't work like that. Personal branding is the long game. It's why it's harder, but it's also why it will give you a higher return in time. Because most people can't make it that far. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying here. Most people won't have the patience of consistently putting out content because you don't get a return on it in the first month, 2 months, 8 months. It's after that year. And after 2 years, something magical really happens. And here's what happens. See, because the marketplace, friends, families, prospects, customers, buyers, sellers, investors, whatever that marketplace is for you, they now know that you consistently been putting out content. They know that you're here to stay. Think about a 30-minute conversation, a 30-minute, show that we would watch on traditional TV. The show was only 22 minutes. For 8 minutes, commercials ran. Within 8 minutes, a lot of the similar commercials run. Right? If you can think back, similar commercials run in that 8 minutes of that 30-minute episode. Why? Because it's not for you to see the McDonald's commercial and see the Big Mac and run to McDonald's right away. That's not what McDonald's is counting on. What McDonald's is counting on is that if they subliminally put this messaging in your brain over time, when you now are feeling hungry a week later, 2 weeks later, and you see the golden arches, that's when you're like, oh, for some reason, I kind of feel like a Big Mac. Now, I understand you don't have the budget of a McDonald's, but it's never been easier to start a personal brand than right now, in the time that we are in right now. Because I have fancy equipment, guys. I got fancy people. But the device that you hold in your hand, you're probably watching this on your phone. It has a better camera than most cameras from a year ago. The audio, you can pick up a $30, $50 mic, which is just as good as this $250 mic for when you're getting started. Now, the quality of this $250 mic is better than the $50 one, but when you're getting started, I started with a $75 mic. For 2 years, I never changed it because I was not going to allow myself to make the excuse that I need to buy the $300 Joe Rogan mic because this is what he uses. But at the start, I knew if I waited to get it, it just would have been another day, another week that went by. So when I made the decision that I'm going to get started with this, I went to a store down the street, picked up a $75 mic. I had no cameras running. I started the podcast and we started recording, and I was really, really bad at it, but I still put it out because I needed to have somebody at least listen to, like, did it work? Did the recording work? Like, what was bad about it? And people would tell me. And I'll still never forget this till this day. I had one guy who's a client of mine who said, Jas, it kind of sounds like you're in a washroom all the time. I was like, okay, great. Let me look into this. How do I fix this? So I made sure that I started recording in only certain rooms where it didn't sound like that. I didn't have a studio like I do now. This all came later. And I'm spending a lot of time on the mindset of getting started because I feel like that's where most of you don't get started. I feel like that's what is the biggest obstacle for you because the equipment and all that and the topics, it's quite easy. Those are just the excuses I feel like people use because they're generally afraid of what people are going to think of them when they get started with video, audio, or the written word. Because we're all worried about other people's opinions. I'm here to tell you, after 5 years of doing this very consistently, and now at a much higher level, I've come to notice that nobody was ever really thinking about me as much as I thought that they were thinking about me. It was just an illusion. It was all in my own head. It's just a story I told myself. And one of the most freeing moments I ever had in my life is when I stopped caring about what people thought about me. I stopped caring about the stutter. I stopped caring about the fact that sometimes I have a lazy eye. I stopped caring about the fact that I'm from a north part of Toronto called Rexdale and it has a bad stigma. I stopped caring about, sometimes I use words out of context because I barely passed high school. Once I got over that, I was able to start putting in the repetitions even more in building a personal brand for my business, which opened up all the doors. on the heels of me building my personal brand and taking my real estate company to new heights in terms of doing more deals. I mean, we've always flirted around $1 million in GCI. I took that right to about 4.5 million a year, all 80% based on my personal brand. I then started a coaching company because people started to see me that much more, which then also went past the 7-figure mark in its first year. All on the backs that the coaching company, 100%, not 99%, 100% of my coaching clients and anybody in my academy came through my social media. That's how much money you, as a real estate professional or anybody in any business, is leaving on the table right now. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I'm going to jump over to the coaching call that we're going to do live. If you want to be featured on the Jas Takhar podcast and have a 10-minute free coaching call with me, all you got to do is go to ftguacademy.com/call. ftguacademy.com/call. I'm going to reach out to our lucky winner and see if, and remember, if you get chosen for this, always make sure that you answer your phone. We've had some times where I'm not sure if the person got scared and didn't want to hear themselves on the phone. But I'm going to jump over here. And here we go. Let's call Gurinder. It's actually in BC. Gurinder? How you doing? It's Jas Takhar calling.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm just living the dream, girl.
I'm watching your podcast.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. What can I help you with today, my friend?
So I wanted to know about branding as a husband and wife. Right now, with BCFSA, we registered as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And how to, because you were mentioning about like personal branding. Like there's 2 of us here, and then in the future, we do want to have more, there'll probably be more partners and then team members for sure.
Okay.
So what do we focus on that? Because our company is called West Edge Real Estate Group. Do we focus branding that, or am I focusing on Gurinder Gill, or am I focusing on
Now, awesome. Now, just so I get a little bit more context, you and your partner, did you say your husband? Sorry?
my husband? Yeah.
Okay. And you guys, and he does the business as well. Like both of you in the business?
Yes.
Okay. And how many years, just out of curiosity?
We started earlier last year.
Okay. And are you currently posting anything on your personal page? And same question for him as well.
Yes.
Okay. So you both are posting on your personal pages.
Yes.
Okay. So what I would do, even as a husband and wife, the first thing I would do is start, I'm not sure how much you heard of this episode, but I would start a 30-minute long form episodes every single, well, I want to get you to every other week, but get started if you have to with every month. But I think you guys should do that together.
Okay.
Okay. And while you're doing that together, now that's going to go out on YouTube. From a YouTube perspective, you can have, and what's your husband's name? Sorry. If you're
John.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have, the Gurinder and John page on YouTube where you post all your long form videos, as well as I'm sure like you're doing listing videos and stuff like that. That can go on all that page as well, because you guys are in the business together. Your husband and wife, I'm going to make some assumptions here. You're probably 50-50, kind of makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you're going to do is out of those 30-minute episodes, that long form recording, when you get the clips, if you're using the AI service, you're getting someone to clip it, put it out on your personal pages. Don't start a new, in my opinion, yet. Do not start a new Gurinder and John page, because what's going to happen is that's going to be very real estate-y. Like that's where you're going to only be posting real estate stuff. And that's not what you want to do. What I didn't cover in the episode, so I'm glad that I'm going there now with you, is that what you want to really do is let people also see the other things about you. It's why it's called a personal brand, right? Now, you get to control what you show people. For example, I'm married, I have 2 kids. Nobody really sees any of my personal life on social media because it's just a decision we made. Not rightly or wrongly, I'm not here to tell people how to do that, but for sure, what you want to do is let other people see the other stuff about you, because you're more than just a real estate agent. You're a wife. There's things about being a wife. What other passions do you have? Like, do you like movies, sports, cooking, fashion?
Traveling.
Okay, perfect. And how often do you travel?
Quite often.
Okay.
Just came back from 2 trips.
Perfect. What was the last trip you went on?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. How long?
1 week.
1 week. And have you been there before?
No.
What did you do there?
We went for our niece's wedding.
Okay, awesome. Did you put any of that stuff on social media?
I did.
Okay, good. And so that's the stuff that, see, here's the thing. Now, if somebody else is from Costa Rica, or they love going to Costa Rica, or I'm going to like take a wild guess that a lot of people love traveling as well, you're allowing them to connect with you about something else other than real estate. Because see, if you're not in the market of buying, selling, or investing, you don't really care about somebody's real estate tips or their education necessarily around real estate. You definitely don't care about the just listed, just sold stuff. What they might connect with you with is the fact that you like to travel. And so what you want to do is show that on your personal page. Now, tell me something about John's comma, meaning he's a real estate agent, comma, husband, comma, what else?
Well, we also do a lot of development.
Perfect.
We've been doing that for quite a few years. So
Okay.
we're quite heavily involved in, this rezoning and, all those processes and taking it all the way to construction, selling, renting, CMHC. So we've been doing that for a number of years.
You need to showcase that more.
Okay.
You need to showcase and not, hey, come buy with me, or let's do a development together. You could do that 1 out of every 10 times, like what is called as a call to action. You don't have to, at the end of all your videos, say, hey, call me now and all that. What I want you to do is just document what you're going through. Everything you just said, CMHC, buy permits. Like, I know the stuff that you're saying because I'm in the business, but 99% of people have no clue what you just said. And they almost, out of that 99%, 100% of them have no idea how it works. Like,
Okay.
I got my team here. Like, Bo, do you know what CMHC means? He's nodding his head like, no, dude, I don't know what that means. You get what I mean? And so if you're the one who's just talking about it, documenting what you're going through, that's how you make the connection. Let me ask you, how did you get connected with me?
Online, social media.
And I'm just going to make, a stab at it. I have a feeling that you like some of the stuff that I'm putting out.
Yes.
What do you like about it?
You're very upfront, to the point, and you just say it like it is, and then the content is useful. So it's something I can actually, like one of your scripts that you said. So I tried using it. I haven't used it before. I tried it, and oh yeah, it works.
And how did it? Well, now I want to know, how did it work? Like, what happened? Like, you got an appointment?
I did, yeah.
Amazing.
I did, yeah.
So the real reason I asked you that question is because on the flip side of that, Grinder, and I appreciate you following and really using it. That's what really matters to me. On the flip side, a lot of people don't like me. A lot of people are not connected with me. But what I'm trying to do is just be myself, and some will, some won't. So what? Right? And so the exact way that you connected with me, what I want you to do now is allow people to connect with you. Now, what a lot of people say to me at times is, but Jas, I'm not as energetic, or some of the guys are like, I'm not as good looking as you, that was my joke for the day. But it's not about trying to be like someone else. Because even me, I don't resonate with everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, right? And so where I know a lot of people get stuck is like, but they're not going to like me. Yeah.
That issue. I'm not stuck in that mind.
That's amazing. So we're at the next phase, and the next phase for yourself and your husband, like, this is not a good idea, Grinder. Like, 1,000%. Like, you got to get your husband, if he's not watching right now, get him to listen to this episode, okay? And then I want you and him to start a 30-minute recording every other week.
Okay.
I'm not even going every month with you, because you're somebody who took my script, used it, got the results.
Yeah.
So this is what, like, if you really want my coaching right now, I'm telling you to do this. Do it every other week. You got 26 episodes. Knock off the first 13, okay? Next time you guys are having dinner, make it a working dinner, okay? And I want you to do 13. I want you to get your first 13 episodes, what you're going to talk about. CMHC, development, how to refinance a property, how to construct it, how to buy your first home, all that. Okay, just 13. Then beside it, I want you to be, who can we sit down to do that with? It's not just going to be you and,
Already.
sorry?
I have those people listed.
Love it. Okay, then I want you to pick the first day. You're going to say, okay, today's Friday, for example. Okay, next Wednesday. Like, don't go out longer than a week. Do not make this 2 weeks from now. Make it in 1 week. Do it on Zoom. I know it's not going to be the best in terms of how it looks and sounds.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of stuck.
Perfect. So how you weren't stuck at the other place, this is where the most people also get stuck. I just need you to do the recording. Do you have a CRM?
I'm getting it started right now. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have people, any names and phone numbers in your email, in your phone?
Yes.
Obviously. So I want you to call, I want you to text it to everybody on your phone.
Okay.
Got it? Remember, you're already past like how the way you look and you don't care what people think. That's awesome. This is why I'm taking this to the next stage with you, okay? You text them all. You build your CRM in the back end. That's very important. Get back to my other episodes for that. Now, I need you to text it to everybody. And then just tell them, say, guys, it's our first one. We're adults. We can handle the constructive feedback. Give it to us. Give people the permission to give you feedback. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to do it every other week. What I would recommend, just to get started out of those 13 episodes, record 5 next week. So you have them all in the can and release them every other week.
Okay.
Okay? And then you're going to get into the AI, Google any of the AI services and start putting these out on your personal pages. You on yours, him on his. And then every day or every other day, just give me something a little different other than real estate. Whatever that may be. I know you like to travel, but there's other stuff as well. You're in Vancouver, right? Give me something like some of the best places to eat in Vancouver.
Okay.
Okay? Like, is there some good Punjabi restaurants there?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a funny feeling it would be funny, right? Like if we went Brampton versus Surrey, right? Like which ones have a better Punjabi restaurants kind of thing. But there's tons of places to eat, obviously, in Vancouver. Give me something that's different than real estate. I said every other day to you. Let me make it easier. Just 3 times a week. 3 times a week. And here's the big one now. And I said it in the episode. Just wait a year. Get your husband and you to understand that this is going to take a year of every other week coming up with the long form and one piece of content every single day.
Okay.
In the week, you have 7 pieces. 3 of them are going to be non-real estate stuff. 4 of them are going to come from your long form recording or anything else that you want to put out. Okay?
Okay.
Here's another ticket as well. Do not say in any of your videos for the first 30 of them, do not say call you.
Okay.
Don't go salesy on me.
Yeah.
This is branding and marketing. We don't need to go salesy right away.
Okay.
Do you ever notice on mine? And please call me out. Like, I'm okay with it. I'm like, do you ever really hear me say call me?
No.
Right? I give it all away. And then I think if I remember properly, you and I DM'd each other for this call. Like you set it up and like, you get what I'm saying? Like you reached out to me.
Yeah.
Because you were like, thanks for something, right? And so that happens. That is going to happen, but we need to just wait a year. And for the first 30, because I need to build your habit of not being salesy on the call. on the video.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Was that valuable?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Keep watching. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Jas.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye. All right, guys. Again, if you want that 10-minute free coaching call, all you got to do is go to ftguacademy.com/call. If this episode 248, was valuable, do me a favor. Share it with a friend, colleague, or friend. See you on episode 249.
If you found that video valuable and you want to see me on stage for the full talk, click here.